the representative from the NGO Azerbaijan. So due to the time constraint, I will be brief. October 2008, Russian authorities informed Georgian law enforcement agencies about the disappearance of 3 persons, namely Sultan Pliyev, Alan Khachirov, and Alan Khugaev, in the territory controlled by the Russian forces. The criminal case was filed under the Article 143 of Criminal Code of Georgia, which involves illegal deprivation of freedom. Investigation group composed of 7 detective inspectors was set up by the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and all pretrial detention places, as well as penitentiary facilities, were checked throughout the Georgian territory. However, no persons with the names mentioned above were identified at any of these facilities. Later, on June 14, 2010, the status of victim was officially confirmed to mothers of these 3 persons under the Article of 68 of the Georgian Criminal Code. There is one but very important detail that has to be also mentioned. It has to be underlined that the occupation authorities, in the first line the Russian forces and the Russian authorities, were repeatedly asked to provide a detailed record of missing persons, mobile phones, which must be registered in the Russian mobile operator operating on the occupied territories. This have enabled Georgian Prosecution Service Office to sketch complete picture of their traffic route. However, since then, occupation forces did not comply to our request and they do not cooperate. On my side, I would like to report the case of missing person, namely Grigol Grishan Albando.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. It's been 2 minutes instead of 1. We are really running out of options here. The UK is next to be followed by Tajikistan. United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd like to exercise my right of reply in response to Amnesty International Poland, who, if I understood it correctly, made the point that there'd been no general public inquiry in the UK into serious human rights violations in the context of counter-terrorism activities. In 2010, the British Home Secretary announced her intention to review counter-terrorism and security powers. The aim of the review was to ensure that our counter-terrorism powers and measures are necessary, effective and proportionate and meet the UK's international and domestic human rights obligations. The review findings were published in 2011. Although it is true that this does not in any way constitute a public inquiry, the Home Office did consult a wide range of interested parties, including civil liberty organisations. The review was the subject of external oversight by an independent judge. Thank you.
Thank you, UK. Tajikistan is next to be followed by Azerbaijan. Tajikistan, you have the floor.
Спасибо, госпожа модератор. Прозвучала мысль от представителя Международной организации партнерства в области прав человека о нецелесообразности уголовной системы Таджикистана. Отвечаем, что по результатам 2 посещений специального докладчика ООН по вопросам ПИТ господина Хуана Мендиса в Таджикистан в мае 2012 года и в феврале нынешнего года он дал положительную оценку уголовной и уголовно-исправительной системе Таджикистана. Это, кстати, подтверждают и другие международные и независимые национальные эксперты. Что касается высказываний американских коллег, мы не знаем, о чем речь, о каком уголовном деле. Но отвечаем, что по всем уголовным делам о пытках либо на сегодняшний день принято судебное решение, либо расследуются они, по ним проводятся предварительные расследования. И ход расследования находится на особом контроле. Спасибо.
Thank you, Tajikistan. Azerbaijan is next, to be followed by the Russian Federation. Azerbaijan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We would like to exercise the right of reply regarding the statement by the Armenian delegation. Regarding Karim Petrosyan, as it was already mentioned, Karim Petrosyan, with the aim of committing act of sabotage as the member of the Armenian Armed Forces subversive group entered the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The attack and the sabotage of the subversive group has been prevented by the armed forces of the Republic of Azerbaijan, and Karim Petrosyan was taken captive. Furthermore, the reason for the death of Karim Petrosyan, who suddenly passed away, were investigated by the medical experts in an open and transparent manner, and all documentation were presented, and the International Committee of Red Cross was immediately informed about the incident. I just would like, in brief, just to underline that the Armenian delegation should rather be concerned about the killings of Azerbaijani civilians currently, and especially, I would like to underline, especially children, because for recent years, 3 school children were killed by Armenian armed forces and 2 were wounded. And just 2 people, civilians, are still kept hostage by Armenian armed forces, what we are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Russian Federation is next, to be followed by Armenia. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Спасибо, госпожа модератор. Я хотел бы прокомментировать несколько моментов, содержащихся в ответе украинской делегации. Во-первых, по поводу госпожи Савченко. Она была задержана на территории Российской Федерации. Ей предъявлены серьезные обвинения в пособничестве в убийстве 2 российских журналистов на территории Украины. Сейчас ведется следствие. И обвинение в том, что Российская Федерация пользуется услугами каких-то группировок или сил на территории Украины, по меньшей мере безосновательны. Что касается информации, которую представитель украинской делегации назвал эпатажной, вы знаете, информация о захоронении, она вызывает у нас просто серьезную обеспокоенность. И независимо от того, как ее расценивают наши украинские коллеги, она вызывает серьезную тревогу, и она должна быть расследована. Именно к этому мы призывали. Что касается способности Украины самостоятельно расследовать независимо и транспарентно преступления, то наш призыв привлечь международных экспертов основан именно на том, что пока ни по одному из преступлений, которые мы уже неоднократно упоминали, пока не было никакого результата действительно подтверждающие это. И последний момент, я прошу прощения, но мы не поняли, почему по критике, которую высказали представители гражданского общества независимого государства Южная Осетия, грузинская делегация отвечает нам. Спасибо.
Thank you, Madam. Armenia, you have the right
Thank
to
you,
reply.
Madam Moderator. I would like to exercise my right of reply in connection with the statement made by distinguished Turkish ambassador. I am surprised that he attributed words in my statement that there were no any such accusation. To be clear, I will just read out what my delegation has said. We are extremely concerned that the fundamentalist groups use the territories of the OSCE participating states to initiate cross-border attack against ethnic and religious minorities. Only 3 days ago, the St. Martyr's Armenian Church in Deir Zor, Syria, dedicated to the memory of the Armenian genocide, which housed the remains of its many victims, was exploded and destroyed. And this is only the latest crime of the terrorist group of the Islamic State. I mentioned Islamic State, not Turkey. If Turkish ambassador associates itself with Islamic State, it's not a problem of Armenia. And finally, I recall the Parliamentary Assembly recommendation not to let terrorist groups to use OSCE participating states to initiate cross-border attacks on religious and national minorities in Syria. This is not an Armenian recommendation. This is OSCE Parliamentary Assembly decision which was taken in consensus. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This now also exhausts our right to reply list and our discussions during this session. I would like to thank the interpreters for staying beyond their time allotment. I'm very grateful to that. The interpreters are now released. I would like to thank the speakers and the contributors to the discussion in this session. It's been quite lively and productive in many ways. I would like to remind you that there are side events happening during the lunch break in this room and in the 3 other meeting rooms. You are welcome to join them as you see fit. Also to remind you that the working session 5 on rule of law, democratic lawmaking, independence of the judiciary and right to fair trial will start at 3 p.m. And may I kindly also ask you to leave your headset, receiver and headphone in the room. This session has now finished and is closed. Thank you.